This is Minecraft. I've seen so many videos online showcasing Minecraft with ultra realistic graphics, but I've never seen anyone actually start a brand new world and play through with them. So today I decided to install a couple of mods that totally overhaul Minecraft's terrain generation and mods like Conquest Reforged that add over 14,000 new blocks to the game. Today we're starting fresh and building without a plan. Alrighty, welcome back guys to our fresh start Minecraft world. So as you guys can see, Distant Horizons really shows the scale of this world, and I really want to start venturing off in this direction and see what we can discover. I currently have FirstPerson animations installed just to add another layer of immersion to the world. So I wanted to give a huge shout out to Fancy Cappy for the dog named Tara. So thank you so much for that dog name suggestion. I actually really love that dog name. So when we have a name tag, we'll actually be able to properly name our dog. But I think for today, let's actually start working on the house. I do feel like I overdid the stone a little bit. We should replace some of it with tutoring to give the house a warmer, more inviting sort of look. So I think simply we'll just be taking down this wall for now. And I actually added a couple more mods to this little instance that I have here. And if you're curious what mods I have installed and how I was able to install all of them together, I will leave a short little write-up in the description for you guys, so feel free to check that out. Alright, now that we have a nice open wall, I'm thinking I almost want the tutoring to stick out just a little bit. I'm actually really excited. Thank you guys so much for all the support on the last video. I wasn't really sure how well it would be received. I was really excited to see that there is an audience for it, so I'm more than happy to continue this series here. So starting off, I just want to change some things about the house that we're living at right now. And then a little bit later, I also want to explore the world a little bit more and maybe start building a different structure or a different settlement. But for now, I don't really have a plan, and I'm curious to hear if you guys have any suggestions. Perfect, there we go. Now we have a nice little window sticking out the side here. This tree kind of blocks the view, so maybe we'll get rid of it. But as you can see, the rain is starting to come down here. Now I feel like our house looks a lot more inviting and a lot better than it did before. By mixing the stone and tutoring together, I feel like we have a nice, cozy, warm sort of house here. All right, let's replace our windows here. I think the thing with a mod pack like Conquest Reforged is it takes so much time to actually do everything you want to do, and I tend to really take my time with Minecraft. But I cannot get over the view of the mountains from our home here. We have literally the perfect little homestead here, and it's just going to keep getting better and better as we continue to play on this world. So looking off in the horizon, I really want to start heading in that direction and exploring, and maybe maybe as we're exploring, we'll get some ideas for what we want to build. Before we start heading off, I'm just going to quickly gather some resources and materials. Hey, if you're enjoying the video so far, this is just a quick reminder to check if you're subscribed. It literally only takes 1 second to do so, and I'd really appreciate it because I'm trying to hit 10,000 subscribers. Alrighty, back to the video. So ideally, I want to actually start getting a lot of iron tools and armor because I definitely don't want to start exploring and going out into the wilderness unprotected. I feel like that's not a good idea. So let's dig down to iron level here. I think it'd be so much fun if we added like horror mods to this. That'd be so crazy because the caves are so creepy, especially with I did install like an ambient sounds mod, so there's like a lot more like weird creepy noises. And it looks like we found ourselves a little dripstone cave down here. Yeah, I'm not really seeing anything down here. Oh, here we go. We're starting to find some iron here. Well, we're slowly starting to find iron the lower we go. But right now we're trying to get to Y level 16 because I feel like that's where the most iron is, especially in this version of the game. So yeah, you can see with a tool like Diggus Maximus, we're able to very quickly excavate a large portion of the map super quickly, which I feel like for a mod like Conquest Reforged, where we need to have access to a large quantity of blocks, this is going to be super helpful. And this is perfect. It's daytime, so this is the perfect time to head out and go exploring. Hi, Tara. All right, so let's start cooking up our iron here, and we might as well make a couple of furnaces. We do have the resources right now. All right, so while we're letting our iron cook up here, let's actually start harvesting some of the, check on the farm here. Looks like the farm's growing, but just very slowly. So I think since our hunger is so low, we should actually go out and maybe find some pigs. Yeah, it feels good to finally have iron tools. I feel like once I have iron tools, then I feel like I'm really able to start like building and expanding my base. So let's venture out in the woods a little bit. I'm really curious to hear if you guys have any name suggestions for the woods. Since they're so vast and they're very, very whimsical, I feel like giving them a proper name would be kind of nice. So I definitely want to start giving the world a little bit of a story or maybe some lore. And I was thinking as we expand the world, maybe we could come up with different kingdoms or settlements. And it would just be really fun to add like a role-playing element to this world. That's kind of how I enjoy playing Minecraft the most. What's going on down here? Looks like this area is lit up a little bit. Ooh, this might be part of Dungeons and Taverns, this little settlement that we just found here. Ooh, we have to be really, really careful. I think this is actually a pillager outpost, so let's not go down there. So that's part of Dungeons and Taverns, which adds different randomly generated structures, so we cannot go down there right now. But let's kind of mark down that we have some pillagers next to our house. Yeah, it's actually super scary that we have a pillager camp so close to our home. So we're gonna have to be really, really careful. All right, I'm a little bit freaked out, so let's just quickly make our way back home here. Definitely don't want to be caught out in the woods at nighttime. There we go. Got rid of them pretty quickly here. All right, and it looks like most of our iron is actually done. So let's just throw in our pork chops here. And let's make ourselves some iron armor. We'll just do a full set here. Then I'll feel a lot more comfortable actually going out and checking out that pillager outpost. All right, let's equip ourselves. There we go. I feel like the armor in this game looks really, really cool. All right, let's go to sleep and then we'll head to that pillager outpost that we found. All right, it's a beautiful new day. Today we're going on quite a few adventures. First, I want to take care of that pillager outpost, and then we can start exploring the woods and see what we can find out there. I feel like these woods just go on and on for miles. So what I've noticed is I do have Dungeons and Taverns installed, but there's not really like a lot of structures that generate with this terrain, unfortunately. Let's see if we can get these skeletons to actually come out into the light here. This is the only downside of having the really deep forest like this, is because like there's plenty of shade for the mobs to kind of hide in during the day. So the forest really doesn't get any safer during the day, but it does allow us to have these like pockets of sunlight. I see an Enderman up there actually. The Bliss shaders look so cool. They give the world a nice bloomy sort of look. It really does remind me, as I'm walking through the woods, it really does remind me of I'm just playing Oblivion or Skyrim, which I might start playing for the channel. I'm actually a huge fan of Skyrim, but I don't really play it a lot. All right, let's kind of sneak up here on the pillager outpost here. I'm not really seeing any pillagers, or hearing any for that matter. So maybe they just abandoned camp for some reason. Interesting. All right, let's quickly chop down some of these trees so we can get a better look at the camp here. So as you can see, I also installed a falling tree mod, which helps us quickly clear out some of the forest here. All right, and that's our axe done with. But luckily now we have a lot more trees. Looks like there's actually a villager stuck in here. Let's quickly get him out of here. This poor villager, he's probably been stuck here for a couple days. All right, so let's see what's in the chest here. Usually there's actually a lot of good loot in these things. So we have a full crossbow, emeralds, a name tag. Oh, perfect. We can actually name our dog now. Really cool. That's a good find. And while we're here, let's actually grab this hay, because hay we can turn into bread, or hay we can turn into wheat, which then we can turn into bread. So this is actually a really nice find, especially early game like this. Yeah, perfect. So it looks like the pillagers abandoned their camp for some reason, but it is kind of sketchy finding it so close to our house. That's one of the reasons why I love Dungeons and Taverns, because it just adds these little pillager camps, little taverns around the world, and they're kind of rare. So it's really cool to see it generate in this type of terrain. I feel like it would just make sense that you would run into some bandits or enemy factions roaming through the woods like this. It really makes you wonder what else is out there. We have so much of the world that we still have to explore, and we haven't even made it to the ocean yet, which you can see way off in the distance there. All right, let's make our way back home. Yeah, this is perfect. So let's name tag our dog here. There we go, there's Tara. Perfect, so now we have our trusty named dog, which is actually really cool that we found that name tag. And all of our iron is done as well, so we have plenty of iron tools. We have a crossbow with a couple of arrows here. Not too many arrows, but just enough to keep us going. All right, now I think it's time we turn this hay bales that we got into bread. Perfect, now we have 42 bread, which is a really good stack amount that we could use here. All right, so what I want to do is grab our bed here. And for now, I think we'll bring Tara with us. And let's go out and explore. I want to start exploring the woods a little bit. See if we can find ourselves a nice little spot to start building in. So another mod I have installed is actually called Dynamic Surroundings, which adds this nice ambience to the forest, so it makes the woods feel a lot more alive. And perfect, we found some pigs here. So I got a comment suggesting that maybe I can build a tavern. So I think that's what we're gonna do today. Let's see if we can find ourselves a nice clearing in the woods, a little bit of a walk away from our home. I'm really a huge fan of the first person animations. I feel like this really adds to the world. Now we don't really have our sword in the way whenever we're just walking. Oh, looks like we have a couple of zombies chasing after us. This is so weird. Recently I watched 28 Years Later. I thought it was an okay movie. And for whatever reason, seeing the zombies chase us in the woods really reminds me of that movie. I'm actually curious to hear if you guys are big movie people, if you watch a lot of movies. I'm not really a movie person, to be honest. I'll watch them obviously, but I don't usually in my free time I just play video games. I'm not really like a movie person or a show person, so I'm curious to hear if you guys have any shows that you like watching, if you have any recommendations for shows. And I think there's a skeleton kind of prowling around out here. That's a creeper. Okay, do have to be careful. That's the only downside of walking through the woods, is there's so many enemies that we have to run through. But luckily we have our trusty dog with us. And I feel like I've already been walking for a couple of minutes here. You can actually see our house off on the hill there, overlooking our position. I really love the way this terrain generates. It looks so, so cool. But we seriously have so far to go, and it looks like the sun is already starting to set. So we're gonna have to be really, really careful in the woods here. I do have some torches. I don't want to build a tavern here. I feel like this is a little bit too close to home. I want the tavern that we're building to be kind of a little bit of a walk. So that way it actually feels like, okay, it was a long day's journey out here to the tavern. Now it's time to rest. So that's sort of my idea for this little location here. Oh, looks like we found another dog. We have 7 bones. Let's see if we can get him here. That'd be really cool to have 2 dogs with us. Oh, perfect. Awesome, we have another dog. So let's bring them both with us here. And we're gonna have to be really, really careful making our way through the woods at night. So hopefully we can find maybe a little bit of a clearing that I can set up. If not, we're gonna have to just dig into the side of a mountain. Yeah, there's already zombies trying to run at us, so thankfully the zombies in this game are slow and they're not like 28 months later, or they're not like 28 days later where they just run at you. I actually really like this clearing. We're just gonna have to dig ourselves a hole for the first night though. Oh geez, all right. Right now we're being swarmed by mobs a little bit, but this is actually perfect. That creeper gave us a nice little hole that we can tuck into for the night. Oh geez, okay, that sucks. So we just died and we're literally so far away from home and it's the middle of the night. Hopefully our dogs are okay. So we did get killed by a creeper and I'm hoping that he didn't destroy all of our stuff because we had a pretty big stack of iron. And it looks like we have 1 dog with us. Hopefully Tara's okay. Wait, we have both of our dogs with us, perfect. Awesome. Okay, so our dogs are fine. We just have to find that little hole that we were stuck in. And hopefully that creeper explosion didn't destroy all of our stuff. It's so scary running through the woods at night. Okay, we have to like make our way back. This is actually so intense. Okay, I see some of the torches I placed down. And there's a couple of Endermen. The Endermen are so creepy. The Endermen are so creepy in this little configuration. Okay, here we go. Here's all of our stuff. Hopefully most of it is still here. Thankfully we died in like this little hole. All right, I'm just gonna equip all of my iron and armor here. All right, so thankfully both of our dogs are okay. Let's give them some pork chop that we have here. So now they're nice and healed up, and we might as well sleep while we're down here. It's actually kind of nice that we found all of this old shingle because we are gonna use this for the roof actually. Let's quickly set our spawn point. Okay, honestly, I'm just thankful that our dogs are okay. That was like my main thing because we can obviously get all of the iron and tools back, but dogs, it's really hard to get them back. So we'll leave them down there for now. All right, I think this is a nice clearing for our tavern here. It's a nice little clearing in the woods, and then just off in the distance, you can see our house on the hilltop. All right, so let's quickly clear out all the grass here. I did see some creepers in the woods, so we're gonna have to be super, super careful. But thankfully I did set up my bed just close by, so. So another mod that I would like to point out is actually Countered's terrain slabs, which was another suggestion from a comment. And as you can see, it adds slabs in between the full blocks. And this really smooths out the terrain generation. I feel like it makes things look a lot better. So now instead of having to jump between blocks, we can just kind of walk between them. So it makes the terrain feel a lot smoother. And that, in addition to Conquest Reforged, is really we're really going to be able to make something cool here. So we have a nice open piece of land here, but it is a little bit uneven. So I think what we could do is we can build into the hillside. My sort of plan for this was we can just use limestone cobble and lightly outline where we want everything to go. So I want the tavern to be pretty large, but before we do that, we're going to have to actually grab a lot of limestone. All right, so while we're here, let's actually chop down some of these trees. And I want to go for the dark oak trees that we have here. I think these ones look really, really cool. Yeah, being able to chop down the trees quickly is really, really helpful. I love the falling animation that this mod introduces. It's really, really nice. Yeah, this is super cool, man. I'm really excited for this world. I feel like Minecraft isn't really a game you can rush. I watch so many videos online of people showcasing their Minecraft worlds, and it's always so fun to see what people are able to build. But then sometimes I feel like, oh, these worlds are so amazing. How could I ever build something that's to that caliber, you know? So I think it's important to remember whenever you do start a new Minecraft world, as things take a lot of time. So it's best not to rush. You just have to take your time with everything and, you know, enjoy the process, because I feel like the early game of Minecraft is, people often try to rush through it because it's very boring. You don't have the best tools. But at the same time, I feel like there is something kind of charming about it because it's so slow. So yeah, that's my gameplay tip for the video. Maybe I should throw a dating tip in here. People like when I yap about dating. But for now, let's actually start gathering some stone here. The vein miner is really gonna come in handy for this coal vein. Look at this thing. This thing's huge. Let's grab it. How much was that? Oh yeah, that was a 28 stack coal vein just from that. And let's actually grab all of these shingles because we're gonna really need these, especially when we start making the roof. So it's kind of funny, with Lithosphere and with Still Life, the way it generates terrain, it actually, it's not totally compatible with Conquest Reforged. So as you can see, some of the mountains are made out of roof tiles, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but in our case, it's actually very helpful. So yeah, right now we're just kind of mining everything out. We're almost making this little mountain into our quarry here. We have both of our dogs with us. Maybe we should leave the dogs outside. That way they have some nice fresh air. I don't want them to be stuck in the caves with us. And I actually need your guys' help. So we have another dog now. And just like Tara, I would love to hear your guys' dog name suggestions. So if you have a dog name suggestion, feel free to leave it in the comment. And if I end up picking your dog name, then I'll give you a shout out in the next video. And bonus points if your name has a little bit of a storyline. All right, so we have a pretty decent stack of items here. Let's actually move our bed out into the woods. Then when it turns nighttime, we can just sleep again. I really love the way how the sun just shines through the trees during the day. Really makes the world feel alive. So let's grab all of our limestone cobble here, and we want to slowly start outlining where we want the build to go. And I don't normally plan out my builds. I just kind of go off of how I'm feeling at the time. So since we are building on a little bit of a slope here, it's going to be kind of interesting. It'll kind of give our tavern a little bit of a split level feel because it is such a there is such a change in elevation here. All right, I feel like that's a pretty good width. So let's go with this. All right, it's turning nighttime, so let's go back to sleep. So pretty much my whole building style is I like to start off with very basic little shapes, and then as I get more established, then I'll start actually detailing it out. So let's see here. I want to give the tavern almost maybe a curved little shape, just following the, or maybe a diagonal type shape, just following the natural terrain here. So let's come down here to this lower portion. I don't think spiders actually attack you during the daytime, which is kind of an interesting little thing. I've never actually noticed that. Spiders don't like attack you during the daytime. Skeletons do though. As you can see, there's plenty of hostile mobs just wandering through the woods here. So it is nice that we have this clearing that we can lead them into. All right. Yeah, I really love the inclusion of the terrain slabs here. It's really going to make this look a lot nicer. Just a really wacky, weird little shape building here. But I feel like it's really going to turn out kind of nice. So we need to actually bring this out just a little bit. So yeah, the first floor, we're just going to do it out of cobblestone, or in this case, limestone cobble. And then the second floor, we're definitely doing it out of tutoring. Yeah, definitely not going to be a traditional tavern little layout here, but I think it'll turn out really cool once we have it done. Maybe we can even extend this part out a little bit. So then it gives our tavern maybe a C shape here. I love giving my buildings interesting little stories. That's what really makes the builds feel alive, because when you plan out the builds, I tend to notice they're cool, they turn out cool, but There's just something special when you just build without a plan. And then of course, once we have the tavern built, I really want to make a pathway from the tavern all the way back to our house. I think that would just be so cool. It's not going to be a super detailed pathway, at least not initially, but we can definitely add some lanterns and basic pathway blocks leading over there. Yeah, this is going to be really, really cool. I am super excited for this. So we're just going to start off by placing down all of our cobblestone. This is going to be our little foundation. So there we go. Now we have a nice split level little tavern here. And we'll have to actually get rid of these trees here that are a little bit too close for the tavern. I think this one can stay. And we're going to need a lot of wood for the tutoring. So I'm actually a huge fan of this change in elevation, especially at the front here. I feel like this is going to give the tavern such a nice little character to it. So something we can actually start making is terrain slabs. And we can obviously do this in Conquest Reforged, but counter terrain slabs, you can put them straight in the crafting table like this, and it'll give us dirt slabs, which we can use to make this a little bit smoother. Perfect. We will definitely need to make a fence around the tavern here, just because we have so many mobs coming from all directions. But yeah, this tavern's really going to be this safe haven out in the middle of the woods. Because the woods are so dangerous and there's so many like zombies and just pillagers and things, this is going to be a nice spot for travelers that are traveling from our house all the way to the ocean. This is a nice, not quite the midpoint, but it's a good resting stop. So actually what I'm thinking is let's slowly start lighting up the woods around the tavern here. We can just kind of place some torches on trees like this. Man. So what do you guys want to name the woods? I'm really thinking we should name them like the Dark Forest or something, because obviously they are dark, but I'm wanting something a little bit more like fantasy-esque. I feel like the Dark Forest is kind of plain. So I'm curious to hear your guys' name suggestions. And what should we name the tavern? I kind of want to do a little bit of a callback to Oblivion, so I want to name it like the Inn of Ill Omen. I think that would be really kind of cool, but I'm always open to hear your guys' suggestions. So the sun is slowly starting to set. I think we're better off just sleeping for the night and then starting the tavern up tomorrow. I'm really, really excited to see how this tavern turns out. Right now it looks kind of weird, but I really like the way I really love the shape of the tavern, so I think it's going to turn out super, super cool. Alright, so I picked up some of these stripped dark oak logs, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to place these in the corner just like this. And what these kind of do is they act as, I guess, supports for the tutoring is my thought process behind these. So yeah, I have a really basic building process, but it's just kind of the way that I find works for me. And I feel like a lot of Minecraft has to do with just figuring out how exactly to build to your strong suits. So some people, they like to build things a lot more analytically, so their builds are a lot more planned out. But for me, I tend to just build my things sort of almost on a formula. So I'll start off with like a really wacky little build shape, and then I'll do things like filling in the corners with logs or with stone. And then, you know, I just kind of go from there. Everything is sort of follows a little bit of a formula. All right, so now we have some tutoring, and I want to start doing the second floor. With the tutoring, I like to kind of do every other block just like this. And this gives the tutoring a nice texture to it, having the cross beams and then having the plain ones. But yeah, I'm really curious to hear how you guys go about designing your own Minecraft builds. For the longest time, I used to watch a lot of like Minecraft tutorials, and I would always get so frustrated. Specifically on YouTube, there's so many good builders out there that I would always get jealous of people that were good builders, because I was never like the best Minecraft builder. So what I kind of did was I really just sort of like learned this little style, right? Of just making wacky shapes, then filling it in and kind of detailing it later. My whole design process is I start off very basic, and then I come in after the fact and actually decorate it. And that's sort of how I learned to become a better builder, is not thinking about building, I just think about it as decorating. Perfect. So now we have a nice vague little outline of how I want the tutoring to go here. So you can see on the small section that we have completed here, the tutoring by sort of checkerboarding the blocks that we're using. I feel like this looks so much better than if it was all just the same texture of tutoring. We're definitely going to need a lot more tutoring, but let's see how much we can get done with this basic little, with what we have here. We're definitely gonna have to chop down a lot more trees. So I think for this build, what I wanna actually do is start off by building the exterior like totally finishing it, doing the roof, doing the tutoring, and then I'll come in later and actually start doing the interior. So I'm kind of designing this in a really weird way. I like to compartmentalize my builds, so I like to do everything one step at a time, one thing at a time. And I feel like that's really the secret to making nice, big builds like this, is because if you try to build everything all at once, it can be kind of overwhelming to think about. So I really like to just focus on one thing at a time. Like, what am I doing right now? So right now I'm just doing the tutoring. I'm not really thinking about how I want the interior done or anything like that. And now we're finally out of tutoring, so we'll have to go make some more here. But yeah, I'm really curious to hear how you guys go about designing your builds. And I'm also curious to hear what you guys actually are doing currently. So I've gotten a lot of feedback from people that they enjoy watching my videos in the background, or watching them on TV, which is honestly, in my opinion, like, as a YouTuber, my main goal is to have content for people to watch while they're like eating or while they're playing video games, sort of like as a background thing. So whenever people say they find my videos relaxing or they're playing on their own Minecraft worlds while they're watching my videos, that's like the ultimate compliment for me. So I'm always curious to hear what you guys are working on, or what you guys have going, or what you guys are building or playing. And even if it's not Minecraft, I always love to hear what video games you guys are playing, or if you guys are working on art projects or school. So I feel like now we have a nice little basic layout for our tavern. Now we need to actually start doing the roof. And I want the roof to be really, really tall. Ooh, okay. This is kind of awkward. We have some pillagers here, which kind of sucks. But thankfully we're pretty well geared here. Let's load up our crossbow here. All right, we'll have to be really, really careful with our dogs. All right, thankfully we have a shield and we have good armor, so these pillagers shouldn't be too bad of a, yeah, that wasn't really too difficult. But now we have the bad omen for the next hour and 30 minutes. But thankfully I don't think we have any villagers nearby, so we're totally fine. It's kind of funny, you can see on the left side there, we have an arrow sticking out of our head. Luckily those pillagers didn't put up too much of a fight. Having a shield and having full iron armor definitely helps. That's why I wanted to have proper gear before I came out here. We're definitely going to want to hang up the banner inside the tavern. I think that would just be a cool, like, bar decoration. All right, let's put the extra tutoring we have inside the chest here. And we're going to want to grab all of our old slate roof tiles. I feel like this section of the woods is actually pretty dark, which is why we're having a lot of zombies come after us. So let's just quickly light up this section of the woods. Since the woods are so big, you really have to do everything in sections. Otherwise, it can be really, really overwhelming. But our little settlement's coming together here. I think having the pillagers show up is actually kind of a good sign, because that means they recognize this as like our little house here. So we're just gonna want to make all of these into stairs. And this tree, I really like this tree, but unfortunately, it's a little bit too close for us. So we're just gonna have to chop it down. I really love how the trees generate in Lithosphere and in still life. They just look so cool. And what is actually really interesting is Conquest Reforged, you can actually make custom trees in this mod. So I'm not like the best at it, but you can actually make it out of branches, so the trees look a lot more realistic. Maybe we can try something like that. All right, now let's actually start making our roof for this. And the best way to make roofs, I find, is I'm just gonna grab all of our cobblestone here. And what I actually like doing with the roofs is I like to just staircase up with cobblestone. There we go. So we can do something like that. And this gives us a nice little outline that we can start placing the stairs down on. So since we have more of a C-shaped building here, I actually want the this middle section here to have a roof go horizontally. And then these roofs are gonna be going in this direction. I don't know. That was like the wrong word for it, but something like that. My words aren't wording right now. Perfect. All right, now we want to actually start placing down the stairs here. And since I want the roof to be a little bit steep, we're going to actually do a combination of stairs and full blocks for it. And it's actually really nice that the terrain generation is a little bit buggy, so that we're actually able to get these roof tiles pretty easily here. So on the outlines here, or on the outer edges of the roof, we're going to do stairs just like this. And it kind of sucks, we're gonna have to get rid of this tree here, but so let's just quickly put down our stairs like that. And roofs always give me a little bit of a hard time. It's hard for me to sort of think about them, I guess. But we're gonna get this figured out here. I'm not really too worried about misplacing blocks, because we can always come in and just get rid of them. All right, let's start wrapping this around like that. Okay, and now what I wanna do is take some of these roof tiles like this, like the full blocks, Just gonna start placing them like that. Again, I'm not really too concerned about exact block placement because we can always change things later. So I'm really curious to see what this is gonna look like when it's done. But I feel like the combination of full blocks and stairs is really gonna give this roof a nice steep sort of look, which is kind of what I think of when I think of a tavern roof. Oh yeah, that actually looks so good. That's gonna be perfect for what we need. Okay, cool. Now let's do the same thing on this side. I think we might actually be able to pull this off. We might be able to pull this off. What do you guys think? Can we do it? Do we have enough stairs to get this done? We might have actually get lucked out by getting the perfect amount of everything. Maybe not for the whole roof, but definitely for the at least the two corners here. Yeah, this is actually so serene. Today's actually like my day off from work, and I cannot think of a better way to like play Minecraft, or a better time to play Minecraft. So I don't know about you guys, but so for me, the best time to play video games is 100% the night before a day off. So hear me out on this one. So basically, you know how after like a day of school or work, you know you have like the weekend coming up after that? That is, in my opinion, the best time to play video games. Because then you just have like, it's just you, it's like late at night, you don't have to worry about anything. You know you have the day off tomorrow, so you don't have to work, you don't have to go to school. So it's like, for me, that's the perfect time to play. Here we go. But I'm definitely interested to hear like, what is your guys' ideal time to play Minecraft? I think days when you don't have a lot going on, or you have the day off the next day, that's the best time to play. All right, here we go. All right, by some miracle, I was able to line these up. I didn't really plan it out too well, so I'm actually surprised that the roofs are lining up for me right now. But this is going to be really, really cool. Having the combination of full blocks and stairs is really going to give this roof that nice tall look that we're wanting. And we're going to want to go to sleep really quick before mobs start showing up. All right, so now let's quickly start connecting these two roofs together. This is going to be the part that's a little bit tricky, but I think we'll be able to fix it, or get it figured out, I should say. Why am I saying fix it? So same sort of theme, 2 layers of stairs on the bottom, and then on the top we're doing full blocks. Oh, there's actually a skeleton inside the tavern, but that's fine. We can deal with him later. Let's see if we can get him. There we go. All right, now we have to do this side. All right, this side's gonna be a little bit weird, but I think we'll be able to figure this out. We'll just have to connect the roof somehow right there. I feel like a lot of Minecraft building is really just problem solving. Especially in my sort of building style, since it's so unplanned and kind of weird. A lot of my builds I have to like come back after the fact and sort of figure out, okay, like how am I supposed to like connect all these builds together? But I think that looks pretty good like that. And I really do think we lucked out here with the amount of tiles we have. Wait, no, this is crazy. This actually is the perfect amount of tiles. Yo, let's go. All right, sick. This is so cool. So we were able to actually finish the roof mostly here. There is a little bit more detailing that we need to do, but this is the final roof design that we're gonna go with here. And getting an overhead shot here, you can see this tavern fits perfectly in this little clearing that we have. And we're only a little bit away from the ocean. I think this is actually really, really cool. It's a nice little tavern in the middle of a valley. And then you can see way off in the distance is actually our house with the mountains in the back. This is gonna be so cool. I'm really excited to actually start detailing the tavern now. But I could just imagine walking through the woods and seeing this nice, warm, inviting tavern, especially in the middle of the night. That's sort of the story that I want to go with here. It's kind of like this little oasis in the woods. We do have to fix some of the roof tiling here, like putting upside down stairs. There we go. Now the roof looks a lot better, I feel like. All right, now what I want to do is actually bring out some of the tutoring in some of the places. So we have sort of these overhangs. So let's see, I'm thinking definitely some right here. And these are gonna basically be like little windows that are sticking out. And I feel like this is gonna give our build just even more depth, which is what we really, really need. Having these little like windows hanging off the side, I feel like is what really makes taverns look like taverns. Yeah, but as you can see now, the tavern is slowly coming together here. I think it's gonna look really, really cool, especially once we start adding like timber and the different planks that we have access to in Conquest Reforged. Maybe we could even do a little bit of a balcony here. It is starting to become a little bit dark. Let's go to sleep and we can start working on the interior of the tavern here. Actually, the good thing about being nighttime is we can see exactly where the woods are a little bit dark, so we can simply just place down some torches where we need them. And yeah, my goal for the tavern is I really want it to be something that you stumble upon during the nighttime when you're needing like rest. And when you enter the tavern, there's going to be like music playing. People just going to be, they're just going to have a jolly old time drinking, playing, singing like sea shanty songs, just stuff like that. That's sort of my vision for the tavern here. Kind of interesting. There's a pillager here for some reason. Not sure where he came from. Kind of jump scared me. All right, okay, let's light up the hillside here just a little bit. And eventually, when we have a little bit more resources, we'll get rid of all of these torches and start doing lanterns. I think the lanterns would look a lot better. Now that we have a nice basic outline of everything, now I want to actually start doing some of the stonework. So adding archways, I feel like that's when the tavern's really going to start looking nice, is when we start adding all of our windows in. So let's put all of our stone into the stone cutter and grab a good amount of, let's actually grab quite a few arches, maybe 16 would do good. And then we'll want the rest of these to be vertical slabs like this. So now all we're going to want to do is sort of figure out where we want some of these windows to go. Just thinking places like this seem like a good spot for windows. And then I actually want this lower section to be the entrance to the tavern. So what we're going to do is cut out these portions of the wall, and we're going to make a nice double door leading into the tavern. And we'll have to actually clear out all the skeletons that are spawning in here. See if we can get them to come outside. There we go. I guess it's the only downside of doing the exterior first, is now we have a bunch of mobs spawning inside, but not a big deal. We can quickly clear them out here. The inside looks pretty terrible, but I feel like I want this to be the entranceway here, and we'll have to actually come in here and do all the flooring as well. So let's see what kind of flooring we can get. I'm actually a really big fan of these alderwood planks. Let's give these a try. All right, let's see what these planks look like. It's kind of interesting. It's like a very subtle difference between alderwood and regular oak. So maybe we can do something like this, where we just do like a checkerboard sort of effect, like we did with the tutoring, but we'll just do it with the floors. That'd be kind of a cool little look here. Yeah, I feel like this actually looks way cooler, having two different oak plank types like this. Now, what's going to be kind of interesting with the interior here is I kind of want it to be all one level. So the interior is going to be a little bit of a challenge because I'm not quite sure how exactly I want to connect it. I think right here is going to be the lower level portion, and then we'll have like a staircase that goes up, and there'll be like an upper floor type thing. It's kind of the only downside of building things that aren't totally planned is you have to sort of figure it out after the fact. That's kind of what makes it fun for me. So we'll have to make more alderwood planks, but for now we can just stick with the oak like we have here. Just fill all of this in with our stone like that. This will kind of give us a little bit of a split level effect here in the tavern, which I think will be really unique. So since the difference is so subtle between the two planks, I feel like it gives the floor just a nice subtle texturing, which I really am a big fan of. So yeah, we'll just have to quickly clear out all the dirt that's in here. Yeah, I'm really excited to start actually decorating the tavern and furnishing it, because that's when the tavern's really gonna feel like a tavern. Right now it's just an empty building. Oh, what is this? I think this might actually be a vindicator. So let's be a little bit careful here. Let's see, what was this? The guy was just kind of skulking around. All right, let's light up the woods here. Oh, this mod would be so terrifying with like, if it was like a horror mod and we had like monsters out in the woods, or like a cave dweller. That'd be so creepy. Oh wow, okay. So there's actually a lot of pillagers kind of coming after us right now, which is kind of weird. Not really sure where all the pillagers are coming from. Maybe there's a outpost nearby. Kind of light up our woods here a little bit. Yeah, for some reason pillagers keep showing up. I'm not really sure where they're coming from though. So we'll definitely want to put up a fence around the tavern. That way we don't have to deal with pillagers sneaking up on our guests that are staying here. All right, now let's start picking. Well, we'll want to sleep through the night, but then we want to start picking out where we want some of the windows to be. All right, so I think for the entrance of the tavern, I actually want it to be 2 stories. I think that'd be kind of nice, having a nice grand entrance in here. So let's actually start building out the second floor here. Yeah, so I'm thinking I want it to be a nice grand entranceway into the tavern. So you're gonna come in, there's gonna be a nice little open spot here. Maybe we'll make like a little staircase right here. I think this is a good spot for a staircase right next to the entrance. Yeah, the cool thing with how this tavern is laid out, I think I want to put all the rooms on the second floor here. And we'll have like a couple guest rooms that you can stay at. And then the bottom floor is all going to be just the tavern part. So where all the bards are going to be, all of the bartenders, all of the guests. So we're going to have to fill the bottom floor all up with tables. And we also need to start thinking about where we would like some windows to be. So let's actually start cutting out some sections where windows would look nice. Be one right there. I'm kind of placing the windows down in random little sections. I'm not really thinking about it too much. It doesn't have to be super uniform here. I really like the idea of having these high windows on the bottom floor here. There we go. Now we have some nice little like corner windows looking into the basement here. All right, now what I want to do is take some of these vertical slabs and start working on the exterior just a little bit. So what we can do with the vertical slabs is bring out the wall just like this. And I feel like this gives the walls like a nice almost corner to them. And I feel like this makes the walls look a lot more substantial and kind of weighty is the way I would describe it. So yeah, it's kind of cool. The way Conquest Reforged really works is it's a lot like Snow in vanilla Minecraft. So you place everything by layer like this, and it allows you to build just really detailed and cool looking structures. So I like doing this on the corners just because I feel like it really makes the corners feel a lot more like it feels like they're actually supporting weight rather than it just being a flat block. I feel like that looks pretty good like that. So we can kind of just go around the build right now and fill in some of the corners here. We won't be able to do all of the corners because there's some slabs in the way here, but I think this looks pretty good for now. All right, so now I want to start adding windows on the second floor. That's when this is really going to start looking nice. There we go. So basically I just cut out some blocks where I think the windows would look nice. Now I think it's time we actually move some of our stuff inside the tavern so we don't have to sleep outside anymore. All right, let's bring our dogs inside the house with us. And they can just kind of hang out up here. While we're here, maybe some windows right here would look pretty nice. So I think for now we'll just set everything up on the second floor here. All right, so now I think it's time we actually start putting in windows. And since we don't have any glass, we'll have to actually use the wooden windows, which is kind of funny. But I'm thinking we can just let's do these wooden arch windows. I think these look really nice. Yeah, I feel like the tavern is really starting to come together now, especially now that we're adding windows in. And once we have furniture and we have some rooms laid out up here, it's gonna look really, really cool and cozy. And I absolutely love the layout of this tavern. It's just so weird and wacky that I think it's gonna look really, really cool when it's done, especially once we start detailing it. So I want to add in some tall oak doors. So kind of looking at the tavern now, it looks a lot better with the windows in, but I think it's going to look really nice if we add some shutters to the windows. So what we can do is we can add these oak shutters to all the windows just like this and open them up. And I feel like this makes the windows look so much better because now there's actually additional depth that we can play with. So we can just kind of leave some of them open, leave some of them closed. This looks really, really cool. Yeah, the tavern is I really love how this looks. On these like larger windows, we're gonna have to do something a little bit different with the shutters, but on these single windows, shutters look just fine. And we can have some of them like open, we can have some of them closed, just kind of whatever we feel like doing at the time. And for some reason, there's a lot of like vindicators walking around the house. So for some reason, they're like spawning around this area, and I'm not sure why. I'm not sure if there's like a villager or pillager outpost like stuck underneath the ground or something, but they keep spawning in these woods, but they don't seem to be too much of a threat, especially since we have a crossbow. So with the larger windows, we have these spruce panels that we can do and open them up like that. There we go. So it's kind of nice. We have like a huge variety of windowsills that we're able to use, or window shutters that we're able to use. So it looks really, really cool. Let's do the same thing on this side. There we go. Now we can have some windows. And this will just make the tavern feel a lot more lively, I feel like. This is where Conquest Reforged really becomes a lot more fun, in my opinion, is when you're able to start detailing your builds. And we haven't even gotten to the furniture section of the build yet either. All right, so now we have the windowsills done, and I want to actually start adding supports underneath these little overhangs. So in vanilla Minecraft, in order to get this support look, you'd have to use stairs. But in Conquest Reforged, we have these things called dark oak vertical beams, and these let us have little supports, so it makes the cutouts look so much better. We can do the same thing on this side actually as well. And I love just all the different blocks that Conquest Reforged adds. It still feels like Minecraft to me because it doesn't add too many different gameplay elements, but just simple things like this really enhances builds. So we can just kind of throw these around the build just like this. There we go. Yeah, and I feel like already the tavern is starting to take shape here. I think at nighttime is when the tavern looks its best, because it just kind of shines in the darkness like this. And you can see how dark the woods are surrounding the tavern. And from the tavern, you can actually see how far away our house is. So it's way off in the hills over there. And it's about a 10-minute walk between the tavern and our house. So it's kind of the perfect distance for a little rest stop here. All right, now I think it's time we actually start filling the tavern with furniture. Not quite sure how I want the layout to be done here, but we'll figure it out. So what we're gonna actually need to do is start cutting down more trees, and we also need to shear some sheep because I wanna start filling the tavern with beds and tables. So let's just start cutting down the trees that are right in front of the tavern here, because this is sort of where the pathway is gonna be. So we can start cutting down our trees here. And the goal here is we wanna vaguely outline where our pathway is gonna lead through the woods towards our house with torches here. So I'm just gonna place these torches every couple of blocks, just slowly leading to the house. And hopefully as we're walking through the woods here, we run into some sheep that we can shear, because we're gonna need quite a few beds. I think I want at least 3 bedrooms in the tavern. I think that'd be a nice amount for travelers to stay at. So yeah, I wanna have a nice winding pathway through the woods leading from our house to the tavern. So I kind of want the pathway to actually just follow along the little ravine that's here, or maybe not ravine, the little valley here. This is going to be really, really cool. And right now I'm just sort of dotting the way with these torches. Then we can come in later when we have a little bit more stone or materials and actually build the pathway out. Now we can actually start heading upwards towards our house. And one of the reasons I want to headed back towards the house is I know for sure there is sheep near the home here that we can easily shear for wool. So the pathway is going to be kind of awkward since our home is on such a steep little cliff here, but not really too worried about it right now. And here we are back at the house. It's kind of nice being back home after being out in the woods for so long, but we're not really leaving too much behind here just because most of our materials we left at the tavern. But it is nice to come back home. Let's actually grab some of this coal that we have here. And we do have a pretty decent stack of limestone here that we can always grab if we need it, but we have so much at the tavern that I don't think it's really necessary. And while we're here, let's actually bone meal our potatoes. I think it'd be kind of nice if we had a potato farm at the tavern. Actually, roaming around the house here, let's see if we can see the tavern from up here. It'll probably be kind of hard to see, but I think right about where my crosshair is where the tavern is. But this is kind of cool. I'm really happy with how this world is turning out so far. And again, the world is so big that it's really hard to showcase the scale of it in a video. Actually, while we were here, I never noticed that we have some azaleas that we can grab. So let's grab some of these flowering azalea leaves. The azaleas will be really... Oh, there's actually a villager just kind of wandering in the woods. I think that's the villager that we freed from the pillager camp down there. And there's a sheep right there, perfect. So I want to quickly grab these azalea leaves because these are really nice for building. But let's quickly shear these sheep. We're gonna need a good amount of wool here. That might actually be the only sheep in this area. So let's head back to the tavern and see if we can find more sheep around there. So far we only have 3 wool, which is not going to be nearly enough. I actually really love coming back home, especially coming from the woods. This home seems so inviting and cozy. It looks like there's some endermen here. There's just random blocks placed everywhere here. So let's make our way back to the tavern. Thankfully, we dotted the pathway out with torches, so it'll be really easy to find our way back. I really love the way that the terrain generates in this world. It's just it really feels like a different video game to me. Like I genuinely feel like I'm playing some sort of role-playing game or like a Skyrim mod or something like that. And here we are back at the tavern. It's a really nice site. I feel like the tavern really is the perfect distance from our house. It's only about a 10-minute walk, but it does feel like a nice welcome rest stop. So let's see if we can find some sheep out here in the woods. I haven't really explored past the tavern, so everything beyond this is totally new to me. I absolutely love the way the light rays are shining through the trees and then you have the falling leaves coming down. That is just stunning to me. So cool. All right, we need to keep an eye out for some sheep because I want at least 3 bedrooms. So we're gonna need about 9 wool, more if possible. Got a zombie on fire over here. So it looks like over here is a little bit of a camp. Oh shoot, okay. So yeah, there's a pillager camp nearby the tavern that we're gonna have to watch out for. So we're gonna have to be really careful about that over there. And it looks like we actually have a ruined nether portal over here. Let's check this out. So no wonder we were running into so many pillagers. There's a camp right outside the tavern. Let's make our way up to this ruined nether portal. Hopefully we get something good in the chest. Looks like we got a couple of obsidian, some iron nuggets, and a bell. Bell's kind of interesting. Ooh, wait, we might actually have enough to make a nether portal here, right? Thinking. Let's see. We're gonna have to be careful with the placement here. There we go. Now we just need a flint and steel, and we could light this up. Oh, we don't have one on us, but when we come back, we can easily light this up. That's perfect. These are just some pigs. I was hoping they were sheep. All right, it is nighttime. I think we might as well go kill those pillagers that are out the outpost there. Maybe they'll have a flint and steel at their camp that we can take from them. I'm feeling pretty confident just because I have I have good gear. The main thing being the shield, honestly. So I feel like I'm able to do this. We're gonna have to sneak our way up here. We already got skeletons fighting us. All right, let's make sure we're fully healed up here before we sneak into the pillager camp. And make sure my crossbow has an arrow ready. And looks like this camp is a little bit bigger than the one that we were at earlier. So there's some towers here that we're gonna have to deal with. All right, it's one pillager down. I feel like at least in the tower, I'm a little bit safer. Maybe we can snipe this guy. No, there's a branch in the way. I don't see any pillagers on the ground. Maybe we killed them while they were walking around here. There we go. I think that's all of them. So let's clear out some of these branches so we can get a better look at the camp here. Yeah, just a small little pillager outpost here in the woods. Luckily, they weren't too much of a problem for us. Let's see what's in the chest. Hopefully they have a flint and steel in here. So no flint, but we do have some arrows, which is always nice to run into. We have golds. We have some emeralds as well. So I'm pretty sure the pillagers respawn for some reason, so we can't really live at the camp. Let's kind of light up the surrounding area around the camp here. All right, so let's make our way back home. We cleared out the pillager camp and we found a ruined nether portal. And on our way back home, or on our way back to the tavern, we should just light our way up through the woods here. It's kind of nice. The way that this world generates, it's kind of like this little valley is a natural pathway. So makes it really easy to navigate through. Here we are back at the tavern. I think we definitely want to add a nice iron fence around the entire tavern, but maybe we'll stick with stone for now. So we weren't able to find too much, so we really weren't able to find a whole lot while we were out, but at least we did find a ruined nether portal, which is actually really helpful, especially early game like this. So that way we don't have to have diamond tools. All right, so now I think it's time we actually build out some rooms here. So I'm wanting it to be a 3-bedroom or a 3-room little tavern. So this is going to be the entranceway. So I'm thinking this is just going to be sort of a hallway here. Let's kind of move the dogs over here. So the rooms are actually going to be quite large, I feel like. This is going to be one room in here. And then, like I said, I don't really plan out my builds, so the layouts are a little bit strange. This could be a room, just this by itself. This could be like our room. We'll have the bigger of the rooms. So this could be like a really basic room. This could honestly be 2 rooms by itself here. Split this up, just like that. There we go. Now we have a nice little hallway through here. 3 rooms here, and then this is gonna be like our room in here. So we're taking up like an entire wing of the inn here. But I feel like we own the place, so we kind of owe it to ourselves. Here we go, we have nice arched doorways into the rooms. This is gonna be a room. This is going to be a room. This is also going to be a room. So nice little 4-bedroom inn that we have here. So we're gonna have to actually fix the windows on the bottom floor here by actually making them facades instead of full blocks. So I feel like the tavern is really starting to take shape now. Now it's just time to add some details. And we haven't even gotten to the furniture yet, which I'm really excited to start building. So some additional detailing we can do is we can actually take some stripped oak logs and turn these into beam boards like this. And these beam boards are really nice because we can add them alongside the wall like this. And I feel like this looks so much better than just the wall being plain. Now we have a nice separation from our stone to our tutoring above it. And for some reason there's this spider kind of stuck up in the ceiling. Yeah, I feel like that looks so much better. Now it doesn't look like the tutoring just starts out of nowhere. I think we'll just do this along the entirety of the tavern here. I feel like especially on these front windows, this looks really, really nice. I feel like for me, it's really the details that make the build start looking nice. So I think so far we gotta look out for these phantoms here actually. But so far I feel like the exterior of the tavern looks really, really nice. Oh, I absolutely love the way that the sun looks just shining down on the tavern here. And now that the exterior of the tavern is done, I think now's a perfect time to actually start working on the interior. So first thing I want to do is actually come into the corners here and just add some quarter slabs just like this. And I feel like this helps round off the corners. And then I also want to take some vertical oak beams just like we did on the outside and add these on the inside. And then we can take horizontal beams, connect them just like that. Now we have these really nice ceiling supports in here. And I feel like this really gives us that tavern look that we're going for. So we'll just do a couple of them in here, maybe just 3 sets here. And I'm really excited to start throwing furniture in here. I want to fill this whole area with maybe a bar and some tables. Where do you guys think a good location for the bar would be? I was thinking as you come into the entrance, this might be a good little spot for the bar. But then I was thinking actually maybe this area in here, right in the middle of the tavern. So we can just fill the entranceway with maybe some seating and tables, more tables, a bar on this side. And then maybe I was thinking of a stage for bards or guests that could come in here. That'd be really, really cool. So let's come into the corners here, fill these all in with our vertical quarters. And I feel like this just makes the corners feel a lot nicer. And it looks like we'll have to actually move this window, so we can do that when we go back outside. It's all about adding really small details like this that makes the builds look nice. And I want to do the same in the entranceway here. And to really complete the look, let's come up here with vertical tutoring like this. You can fill in the corners just like that. Now I feel like this entryway looks way cooler. And we can also come up here and do the same thing here, where we add some tutoring in the corners. And let's fill in the upstairs area with stone as well, just in the corners. And I feel like it makes this entranceway look a lot nicer to our master bedroom here with both of our dogs. And I'm really curious to hear if you guys have any dog name suggestions. Also, I'm really curious to hear what you guys want to name the tavern. Currently, I'm thinking something along the lines of the Inn of Ill Omen would actually be kind of cool, sort of as a reference to Oblivion, but I'm always open to suggestions. And it's an absolutely gorgeous day outside today, so I cannot get over the landscapes in this mod. It looks so cool. So getting an overhead shot of our tavern, you can just see how small it is compared to the world around it. And we haven't even gone to those mountains over there yet, but you can see them just behind the clouds. This is a huge world, and there's still so much that we have to explore. So let's fix our window on this side. Alright, now I think it's a good time to actually start adding in some furniture. So before we add more furniture, let's actually grab a couple of iron axes, because we're going to need to chop down quite a few trees if we want to actually build furniture. And thankfully we do have the falling tree mod, so this will make it way easier for us. Yeah, I really like falling tree just because it's so much easier than having to climb up there and chop down individual leaves. This makes it so much nicer. So the cool thing about clearing out these trees is eventually I want a pathway from our tavern all the way to our house. And you can see the tavern at nighttime looks so inviting and stunning. Eventually I want to cut all the way through these woods and make ourselves a little bit of a pathway to the house up there on the hill. There we go. It's actually really nice that this mod knows what's considered a tree and what isn't. Sometimes with falling tree mods, at least the really early versions of them, it would actually not recognize that that was an entire tree. So mods have come a really long way. And you can see how dark the woods actually get, especially at nighttime. So this is such a nice welcome rest stop here, especially for all the travelers coming through the woods. Alright, so now we can start adding in our tables. And I wasn't really sure what table I wanted to go for, so I have a nice mix of Arabic tables as well as just regular round tables here. So let's just kind of put these all throughout the tavern here, and we can kind of put them around randomly, because the idea is you'd be coming in late at night. And this little foyer area, well, let's add some, we'll put in some clothes racks and shelving that you can put all your gear in for the night. And again, this area is going to be our bar. I'm not quite sure how I want to do it just yet. There we go. We'll just kind of do clusters of tables like this. Yeah, this is turning out really cool. I'm actually, even just by putting the tables in the tavern, I feel like this is starting to feel a lot more alive. All right, and now let's actually start making the bar. So I made these shelves, and I'm thinking we'll be able to just put some bottles, put bottles on the shelves like this. and we'll just kind of place them around randomly. There's plenty of bottles for the patrons to choose from here. And I love the amount of detail that you're able to get into with Conquest Reforged. All right, so now with some of the extra bottles, let's just kind of throw these around the floor. I feel like it would make sense that some of the tables have bottles laying about from drunk patrons just leaving them everywhere. But I do want to leave some of the tables empty because I do want to have some like food platters on the tables. I think that would look really, really cool. Perfect. All right, now I want to figure out how to do the bar here. So I think for the bottom of the drinks here, I want to actually add these little cabinets, and then the same with the top, just like that. Now I feel like that looks like a proper bar. So I'm thinking for the bar top, we can just do a really basic stair like this. The bar top doesn't have to be anything too fancy, just a basic little table here. We can throw another end on this side, connect it over like that. There we go. Now we have a nice serving little area here. And let's throw in our benches or our little stools. People can sit there. And since we got rid of the shelves, we can actually throw some of these extra bottles around here. I just feel like there would be so much drinking going on at this tavern. It's definitely the type of place I would want to hang out. So we can just throw bottles absolutely all over the place. So actually something I just kind of realized is we can stack the bottles like that on a single thing. So let's actually do that for some of these. So that way it's not just single bottles standing up by themselves. Definitely want to do that on the bar here. On that table, let's do a few on this table as well. Perfect. I feel like that looks really, really cool. Now I want to actually do some food trays. All right, so I was able to turn my bread into these little bread plates here. Let's just kind of throw these around. Oh yeah, this looks so cool. I love adding food to tables. Oh my gosh, this is gonna look so nice. Let's just kind of put these around here. And what I also decided to do was add a wine barrel. So we can just kind of put that right on the bar top here. Maybe not on the bar top. Not really sure where I want to put that, but something like that. And in this corner where we have some space, I want to just throw random little objects around here. I feel like this tavern would just have tons and tons of stuff laying around from all the travelers coming through here. Stack up some crates like that. There we go. Not the most elegant looking place, but I feel like just adding little objects like this really helps the world come to life. And let's actually move this wine barrel up on top of the crates here. I feel like that looks really cool. Maybe we can move the let's see, how do I want to move the wine barrel here? Maybe we could do something like that, because I don't really want to get rid of the shelving. So I think leaving the wine barrel like that is a good compromise for that. Perfect. Now let's start decorating the foyer. I always have the hardest time pronouncing that word. All right, so right next to the door, I want to actually throw in a clothes hanger. That way everybody can throw their clothes on. And underneath this window is kind of a nice spot to do some shelving like this. We can do a bench right underneath there. Then we'll take some boots and just throw those around here. Let's actually move some of these shelves. I don't really want them blocking the window. So let's see how we want to do the shelving here. You have an extra shelf we can just throw somewhere. Something like that. People can just throw whatever they have all over the place. Perfect. So kind of looking through here, I'm really curious to hear what you guys think of the bar setup. I think this looks really, really nice. But there is one thing that's kind of missing. I feel like the torches are sort of killing the vibe. So what we need to do is actually add some chandeliers in here. So to make this entranceway a little bit more grand, I want to actually add a chandelier in here. You can do that by having some iron chain coming down. Put the big old chandelier right there. Light it up. Perfect. I think that looks really, really nice. Then we'll want to put some hanging candles just in these little rooms here. We'll need to actually grab another one here. But already I feel like just by doing this looks so much better than just having torches on the wall. And yeah, we need to add another one in this room here. One right here. Perfect. This kind of area is more of the, I guess, storage room of the bar, just with all the storage crates left in here. We have a nice little seating area that you can run into. All kinds of drinks and food flowing here. So kind of looking around, I feel like we have too many of the same stools. So I decided to make some of these square ones that we can throw in here. And I feel like these just help break things up. That way there's just a little bit more interest in these seating arrangements here. Maybe some tables have square stools, some of them have circular ones. I think this just helps break everything up and makes it look a little bit more visually interesting. Adding variations like this really makes builds kind of come to life for me. Let's actually get rid of this stool right here. I feel like that looks a little bit better than what we had. So I was in the stonecutter and I found that I could actually turn my gold ingots into gold coins. How cool is this? So we can just throw these right on the bar top here. Then I also found this wall-mounted deer antler. I think throwing that right there is actually kind of cool. Maybe even we could throw this on this side of the room. I think that really makes this side of the room feel a lot warmer and a lot nicer. And I also found this sword that we can throw down on the bar top here. I can imagine this this bar is just filled with really gruffy people hanging out at the bar, throwing drinks back. They throw their coin on the ground. They throw their swords on the bar top. Just having a really fun, merry time here. Of course, we gotta throw barrels in here. Not a bar without random barrels on the floor filled with who knows what. Also, some carpenter chests around the bar area would be kind of a cool idea, I feel like. For some reason, I thought it'd be really fun to throw books there. One more broken barrel we can throw here. Let's actually just put it right here. I feel like that's a good spot for that. Put another chest over here. There we go. And let's throw some coin on this side too. Yeah, I feel like this, adding the little details to the world is really my favorite part of Conquest Reforged. I feel like this just feels so much more lively. And I kind of want to download maybe an NPC mod. So I wonder if you guys have any suggestions for a mod that adds like NPCs that I could add in. So like we could have like a bartender that just sits here or just some like patrons sitting around the tables. I think that'd be really cool. So now with the downstairs done, I think it's a perfect time that we head upstairs and start decorating the bedrooms. But before we can do that, we need to actually go out and find some sheep to shear because I don't have quite enough wool to do the bedrooms. So leaving the tavern, it's a beautiful start to the day here. I have my shears ready. I think our best bet for finding sheep is actually going to be out towards the pillager outpost that we found earlier. So hopefully we can find some. We only need a couple more beds, so maybe 2 or 3 more sheep and we'd be good to go here. There's actually a fox running out here in the woods. So far we've only found pillager outposts, but I'm really curious what other settlements, dungeons, and taverns actually adds to the game. And actually, I have my flint and steel with me, so we can actually ignite this nether portal that we found earlier. Let's light this. There we go. All right, let's step into the nether really quick and see what it looks like. Oh wow. The nether is super foggy. I don't want to spend a whole lot of time here. Oh shoot. Oh yeah, we gotta be careful. As soon as I walked into the nether, we've walked into a lava pool. So at least we have a nether portal now, which we can actually start making nether highways. Because the world is so big, it actually kind of makes sense to start doing nether highways. That will allow us to travel through the woods a lot faster than we would be able to normally on foot. Yeah, these woods are so dense you could literally walk through them for hours and hours. So far I'm seeing a lot of pigs, but I'm not seeing any sheep, which is kind of concerning. So I think we'll have to continue forward. But actually while we're here, we might as well grab the pigs. The forest is getting a lot denser the further I head away from the tavern. Well, it's kind of funny. We found like a zombie villager and some skeletons out here in the woods. But let's continue forward. I'm not stopping until I find some sheep. I've been walking for quite a while now. So I wonder how close we are to the ocean. I think running into the ocean would actually be really nice because then we can actually make real glass instead of just the wooden window panes that we have. Oh man, there is just something really magical about walking through the woods during the daytime. See some foxes running through here. One of the mods I added in recently is actually the falling leaves mod, which really makes the forest come to life, I feel like. So I feel like the sun is starting to set. I really don't want to be out here in the woods during the nighttime, so I think it's best we actually make our way back home. Thankfully, we are pretty well geared, so we shouldn't have too much trouble getting back home. It just kind of sucks that we haven't been able to find any sheep out here. I really love how the sun rays look just shining through the tree canopy. Looks really peaceful and serene. It looks like we found a pack of wolves out here in the woods, but unfortunately we don't have any bones to give them. Otherwise, we could have a whole herd of dogs. Every time I see the pigs, I keep thinking they're sheep. I'm actually going crazy out here in the woods. Oh yeah, the woods are really starting to get dark now, especially with the sun setting. Thankfully, I do have some extra food with me, so if I need to sprint, I can get home a lot faster. The terrain generation in this mod configuration is so vast. I didn't even make it all the way to the ocean that's out there. And I was walking for a solid 10 minutes. All right, we're already starting to get ganged up on by skeletons here. So we're gonna have to run and make this quick. Wait, what is this? So it looks like out here in the woods we found an abandoned shack. Let's see what's inside this chest. Beetroots, carrots, and flower pots. Actually, flower pots are really kind of cool. We can use those to decorate. Yeah, it's just this random little shack out in the middle of nowhere. Oh. For some reason, that Enderman really freaked me out. Looked like Herobrine or something. You can see him just shining in the woods. All right, we're gonna have to quickly make our way back home here. So I see some light through the trees, but I think this is another pillager outpost or camp. But I feel pretty good. We have some good gear. I think I can take him out. Might be abandoned. Huh. Yeah, I don't see any pillagers nearby. Oh, here they are. Yeah, there's the welcome party. All right, I think that might be all of them. Let's see what we have in the chest. So we got a crossbow, some iron, some gold. Hey, you know what? I'll take it, honestly. Oh wait, you know what I just thought of? We can actually steal this this wool here. Perfect. I didn't even think about doing that. We might as well take the wheat while we're here. So yeah, we didn't find sheep, but we did find 25 gray wool, thanks to the pillagers. All right, perfect. I feel like that was a successful mission. We failed it successfully here. So let's run back home now, get out of these woods. The woods are so big, I literally have to look off into the horizon and sort of look for landscapes or features that look familiar to me to guide my way home. It's actually super intense running through the woods at nighttime, especially with these new animations, but we're able to get through here pretty quickly. And thankfully we're starting to run into some torches, which means we're really close to the tavern. Yeah, the tavern's gonna be a nice sight for sore eyes, especially the ordeal we just went through. Here it is. The tavern looks really beautiful, especially at nighttime. It really is just like this safe haven out in the middle of the woods. I think it'd be really nice to add some villagers and NPCs in here. Oh yeah, let's just kick our feet off here and just throw our boots on the ground, sit down for a little while, maybe go hang out at the bar for just a tiny bit, throw down our gold, just a couple drinks, some food. Now, this is the perfect place to kick back, especially after a long journey. All right, now it's time we make a couple of beds. All right, perfect. And let's just kind of throw these beds in some of these rooms here. The rooms are a little bit small, but I feel like if you're tired enough, it's not going to really matter too much how small the room is. Bed in there. Then I'm going to give us a nice double bed. Perfect. Our trusty dogs waiting for us to get home. Now I think it'd be a perfect time to start decorating the top floor here. So now all I want to do is just add some basic furnishings to each of these rooms. Doesn't have to be anything too crazy, but just something kind of nice. That way the rooms don't feel super empty. What I'm thinking in here is I want to actually add a little desk for us. So I think for the most part, this is just going to be our home for the time being. We'll have a nice little desk in here. We also have some of these wardrobes that we can add in. We have some wardrobes that we can throw into the room. This would be kind of nice for the guests that are staying here. Have a place to throw all of their stuff that they need to. And then I was looking at this area here, and I think it'd be really nice just to have a little seating area here. Maybe some cabinets on the outside here. I'm not really sure why. I'm really liking this so far. Nice little seating area on this side. Let's throw an end table right next to it there. Put some cabinets underneath the windows here. So far our room looks pretty basic, but once we have access to bookshelves, I want to just fill this room with bookshelves and maybe telescopes and really make it feel nice and homey. So I think to really complete the desk here, let's add a little pen stationery and a notepad there. Also, I think it'd be nice if we did some candle lights up here instead of torches. I feel like the candles look a lot better than torches, so we'll do this for the guest rooms here. Nice, simple candlelight. We can even do some on the walls out here as well. This upper floor can be nice and lit up at nighttime. I'm really liking this. I love our little tavern that we have here. Eventually I want to add some rugs in here as well when we have more wool to work with. But so far this is looking really cool. So now that the interior is done, I think it's time we actually work on the exterior just a little bit. So I feel like the tavern looks really good, but it does feel a little bit cold. So I think a really easy way to fix that is just adding some leaves growing off of the roof. So let's just quickly build ourselves up here. And what I want to do is I just want to dot some leaves just like this on the roof here. And I feel like this will really help the tavern feel a lot homier and a lot more like lived in. So my whole design process for where I decide to add leaves is I look at the roof, or I look at the build from a outside perspective, and I try to look at where I think it looks a little bit plain. So I feel like this corner is a little bit plain, and I think it'd be the perfect place to add leaves. So yeah, I don't really have an exact science behind this. I really do just look at where I think it looks a little bit plain, and then that's sort of where I go and add leaves to it. Being able to step back and give yourself perspective on the build really helps. And I tend to just add leaves in the corner just like this. So right here, since we have a nice flat area above the window, this would be a perfect spot to add some leaves. So let's just come on this side, slowly start adding these in here. And I feel like just by doing this, our roof looks significantly better than what we had it at earlier. So as you can see now, with having some leaves growing off the edges, it looks so much nicer and a lot more earthy and homey rather than it being really stone and like cold. Maybe we can take some of these extra ones that we have here and just sort of dot these around the front like that. Just something basic like that. Might as well use them while we have them. I feel like adding foliage to your builds really helps it look a lot more lived in and actually part of the world. So as I was adding leaves to the roof, I noticed that we have these really open spots just above the roof here, or in the gable of the roof. And what I think would be perfect is if we added some decorative archways up there. But first we have to find a way to actually get up to the roof. So I think we'll just add maybe a little bit of an access way right in here. We'll just have a little ladder that goes up. All right, so let's make our way to the attic here and start cutting out the gables here. And I feel like just by doing this, the roof is gonna look a lot better and a lot less plain. Pretty much my whole design process, I really just look at the entire build and I see where it looks kind of plain. And then from there, I just try to add as much detail as I can. I guess we could turn these into windows, but I don't really see myself spending a lot of time up in the attic, so I think for now we'll just make them decorative little archways. Thinking something like this is kind of a cool little design here, sort of Celtic looking maybe. And I'm really curious to see how these are gonna look when they're finished. There we go. We just can block them off like that. And I think we could definitely do something with the attic, but for now it's just sort of a placeholder. All right, let's take a look at what these look like from the outside. Oh yeah, that looks really, really cool. Dude, that actually looks way better than I thought it would. Now I feel like the roof doesn't look so plain. We have some nice archways cut out up on the top there. So I'm really happy with how the tavern is turning out. Let's give it a full little walk through here. So let's imagine we're stopping in after a nice long journey through the woods. We're kind of cold, we're kind of tired. We sit on the bench here, throw off our shoes, take off our coat, put our keys away. And then you could imagine just people sitting in here, drinking, eating. It's a really merry place. It's a very cozy and homey place. Here you have maybe some sort of mercenary leaves his sword on the table and people are paying in gold. You have the bartender here trying to tend to everybody's drinks. And over here you have just like this, the bar is so busy that there's just storage, just random little food storage just everywhere over here. I really love this. And then after a nice night of drinking, you can head up to the top floor and get a room for the night at one of the many different rooms that we have here. I'm really, really excited with how this world is going. It's taking a little bit of time to get it all set up, but this is definitely a world I see myself playing for a long term here. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this longer, chiller build video. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate you guys subscribing, and I'll see you in the next one.